Okay, so you don't animate right away. What you do is you plan your scene. So basically, I'm just going to doodle away the main keys. There should be in any scene some main drawing. So that's what you have to think of before you animate anything. You have to think what constitute the pillars of your scene. This is Roger Rabbit. So this is the key one, starting position. Can everybody see? Maybe you need to zoom in? I don't know.
Right, but
no, it's okay. Then you have the end position, so this is drawing one. Then you have the end position, end of your take, after it has reacted. So this is the idea. Then you need to figure out how you're going to from A to B, or A to Z, I should say. So this is, say, drawing 27, just from the top of my head. It's slightly over a second long. So here you need to have an anticipation. So for an anticipation, you need something quite dramatic. And just to make it interesting, let's try not to keep it on profile. Let's try to do something a little bit 3/4 view, and with a nice squash, and let's him frown, okay, his eyebrows. It's always more dramatic this way. It doesn't mean you have to do it every time, but it gives a little bit more, something more interesting to look at, more expressive. Yeah, you really have to be subtle the way you do those things, because with a cartoon character, you can really exaggerate, but if you're animating Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, you don't do that. So always bear that in mind. I'm doing the easy one. I'm doing the cartoon character. This is the easy one. The Sleeping Beauty type is the tough one, more subtle. Okay, so here, more or less, I would think that the hairlock will travel this way. And I'm thinking that perhaps normally I figure out the ears and the overlapped action, the secondary action later. I leave that for later because I have no way of telling exactly what will be the position of the ears and of the hair at this point in time. I'm just kind of guessing. It's only when you do the animation that you're gonna figure out the transition. Otherwise, if you try to draw everything all at once, ahead of time, then you just trying to in between to meet the positions with the in-betweens, which is the wrong way to go, because all these elements have to progress in a orderly fashion according to the speed and the weight and everything. So you need to pay attention to those things. So I would say I'm going to probably do my drawing around 5 or 7, say something like that, 5, 7, around that. So because in the first 6 frames you hardly see anything in a new scene. If you cut, say, from a medium shot or a long shot, from a close-up on Roger Rabbit, the first 6 frames are going to be sacrificed anyway, so don't put anything important in the first 6 frames of your scene, unless you have an object that, say someone is throwing a shoe in the face of Roger Rabbit in the previous scene, then you can pretty much do the hit on the 4th frame. but I would advise otherwise that you do the interesting part of your action no sooner than 6 frames after the scene has started, so that we can see something. So because of that, I'm just going to add about 8 frames, and I could do a moving hold on this position, but I can also stay with just a static key. So let's move now to the roughing out of this. You see anything? You're not meant to. Okay, so let's do drawing 1. The form of the skull is like a peanut shape kind of thing. Let's give him a stupid expression, just for the fun. As before Jessica enters the room. So we won't deal with the ears and the hairlock at this point in time. We just do the stuff that's not going to overlap like crazy. This is what the action will be concentrated on. All the rest is reacting to this main group of the head, the skull, and the nose and ears and eyes and mouth. So let's go to the last drawing now. So I will call this drawing 27, but this can change, depending on your test. So always remain flexible with timing. You can try, and it's a hit and miss kind of thing, and sometimes you might want to change depending on the kind of result you get. You need to fiddle around with it a little bit. Okay, so this is my last drawing, pretty much. Let's try to go for the anticipation. So flipping is really important, okay? So here I can probably draw a little bit the hairlock, the fur on the cheeks, because I know pretty much where I'm going. And when the character squashes like this in anticipation pose, it's always interesting to sink the head in the shoulders I didn't draw the body all the way, but just as a reminder, you should always try to sink the head in the shoulders for an anticipation. You need to play around with the shoulder position. And I draw his bow, even though it's not really important at this stage, but nevertheless, I draw kind of a squashed bow, right, it is appearing right under his chin. It doesn't have much of a chin, but nevertheless. So this is pretty much the principle here. So now we have already the pillars for our scene. Can you see something in the flipping? So now I need to take care of the first part, which is moving into the squash or anticipation position. Oh, I forgot actually the stretch, I'm sorry. You need to define the stretch position first. So I'm going to passing position between the anticipation and the last drawing. Now I can define roughly the course of the furry cheek, the different shapes that the furry cheeks are going to go through in order to give this impression of a fur in movement. So now we have 4 drawings to define the scene. Can you see? So the rest is pretty much in-betweening first those elements, and after, once you have all the drawings, you actually deal with the overlaps last. You even test your animation before you do the ears and the hair. And when I was working on the film, I would animate a Roger Rabbit without any pants or any hair or any ears, and then I would go over it maybe 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 10 times if necessary, always adding something else with a different variation in speeds, so that everything looks very organic and not mechanical. So I'm just gonna have to leave it at this now, because I see that time is flying by, and I have a few other things I want to show you, especially a scene by Richard Williams, demonstration by Richard Williams. I'd like to show you a little bit about it, because he's much more eloquent than I would be. Anyway, I'll just show you some of the drawings, final drawings for this test, and then I'll run the test for you. So the squash and stretch, you really need, if you do cartoon animation, you really need to take advantage of it. And normally, a rule of thumb, if you animate Mowgli in the Jungle Book or Sleeping Beauty, you do not change the shapes of the skull, you do not change the shapes of the nose, or any solid element of your character. You only squash and stretch the soft parts of your character. With cartoons, it's different. Here I'm squashing the skull of Roger in order to emphasize the squashing effect. And on these drawings, all the elements have been added, hair and ears, everything. Some drawings here. Here we go. I wanted to show you how I get from point A to point B and point C. So, in order for me to go into the extreme, I have to bridge with two drawings. So this one being my next extreme from here, I need to bridge with two drawings. And what I do, I drag the soft part, I drag the fur, I drag the ears and the hair, because the main impetus of the action is actually residing in the face of Roger Rabbit, not in the hair and not in the ears. So here I just allow a little bit of time just to settle into this position. But what I do a stagger. That means I will do a strobing effect on the eyes and the hair. So the way you do this is you're in between, just like you do two keys, one very extreme and then one less extreme. And you're in between, but as you're in between, you go from, say, drawing 1 to 5, and 3 to 7, and 7 to 11, and 9 to 13, etc. That's how you do a stagger. So I would in between it in such a way, and then I would have the normal chronology to in between the other elements, so that only the eyes will stagger, will strobe. Anyway, I'm just going to run the test for you. I have recorded it last night, so I'll show it to you. And it will just take a split second, so don't close your eyes.